My question is that, not belittling the idea of prototypes, but they've been around for decades in architecture and furniture design. And it took our market a long time to figure out that, oh, it works for us as well. So what do you think is sort of the next piece that we can borrow from another market that has figured this out, or has figured something out, years or decades ago, that the design or UX or the digital market could actually, instead of thinking hard and think smart and like, oh, maybe we could try that the healthcare is doing, or any other type of industries, or something that so you've been looking at as your next book title.
Okay. Oh, well, that's not bad. It's got like auto-tune on it. Well, speaking of my next book, hold on, I'll actually. Oh man, there's a little ledge like this in a couple places in this building, and I have almost fallen like 3 times. But I took it off. So speaking of my next book is actually comes out in September, and it's called Knapp Q. And I just learned yesterday that there's going to be a French translation of it too, so that's good. Although it'd probably be better in English, but that's just the nature of translations. It's not a diss to the French language; it's just the nature of translations. But if you could, if you could follow what I said today, fine. Then I think you'll like the English version. But this is, so I'm going to diverge and then come back because I did take the opportunity to advertise my book. But basically, this is about the idea of the defaults that exist in our everyday life as individuals. And so my interest right now has kind of become, it's really about like how we spend our time day to day. And there's many principles. My co-author of this book is one of my co-authors from Sprint, and we've been into this topic of how to manage your own personal time and energy for a long time. And so this is the thing, one of the things that I'm really excited about right now. As far as sprints go, I think that I hope that this idea of having a recipe for doing a process, and obviously the design sprint was not the first time somebody came up with something like that, but I hope that people will do things like that more and more. Chances are that someone who's going to come up with a new recipe that incorporates something that's been around, borrows it from another industry. It won't be me. It'll be one of you. Maybe it'll be you. And I think that a lot of times, like with the design sprint, all the pieces that are there, or most of them, were things that they've been around. People have been talking about them, and the design sprint's just a recipe for putting them together. One of the things that I think is a common missed opportunity, or to reverse that, a place where there's great opportunity for product teams, for people who are building software or hardware, whatever, services, is marketing. And this is something that starting off as like a product designer and working on engineering teams, I always thought of marketing as something that you do at the end. Maybe you heard me mention in the talk, I'm talking about the story of the product and how important that is. The more I worked with more companies, more products, and saw more products go through their whole life cycle, and saw things that seemed promising in the beginning fail or sometimes succeed, I think the thing that was the most important was the story, as I mentioned, and whether that story fits, and whether the audience understands what the story is. A lot of times there's a great product that doesn't work because the story doesn't come through. I think marketers know a lot about how to tell those stories, but there's often in organizations a disconnect between how we tell the story and how we build the product, and the marketers are expected to tell the story afterwards. So I think I'm personally a novice and a beginner when it comes to telling the story of a product, but it's crazy that I had so much influence over building products and knew so little about that. I think there's a huge opportunity to better understand how to explain products and to bring it into the shape of the business itself, because if the business's story doesn't fit the customer, then there's nothing.